How's everybody doing out there in cyberspace? I am coming to you live today to have a chit chat about criticism. If you aspire to do anything great in life, it is going to require you to deal with criticism. There's no way around it. People are going to criticize you. And at the end of the day, if you can't avoid it, then you got to get some tools so you can learn to deal with it. And so, Breakthrough for Life is all about equipping you with the tools that you need for you to get a breakthrough for life and not a band aid for now. And so, I want to help you because I help people do new things. I help people implement their vision and launch their businesses and repair their relationships and things of that nature. And criticism is a part of all of that. You're going to have criticism in your relationships. At some point, your significant other is going to say, I think the chicken was a little dry. If he's smart, he may keep that to himself. But anyway, we all are going to have criticisms. You're going to have criticisms on your job. When you launch a business, you're going to have people criticizing how you process stuff. You're going to have people criticizing you in every area of your life if you're doing anything worthwhile. The only way you avoid criticism is be a lump on a log. So since criticism is something that we can avoid, let's learn how to deal with it in a productive way. And one of the main things that I want you to take away, and you know me, I get straight to the point. I am a very, very direct communicator. And so I'm going to give you the nuggets right up off the top. The number one nugget for this, right up off the top, is don't internalize criticism. Criticism can be used to destroy you or it can be used to propel you. But I'm going to tell you, beloved, if you live by the praises of men, you will die by the sword of their criticism. I'm going to say that again. If you live by the criticisms of men, and I'm not talking about men, M-E-N, I'm talking about mankind. If you live by the criticisms of mankind, if you live by the praises of mankind, you will die by the sword of their criticism. So that means you have to learn how to throttle criticism. And I have learned over years of not doing it right, how to take criticism and use it as a way to catapult me into where I want to go. And so I want to teach you how not to internalize criticism, but to take criticism, eat the meat, spit out the bones, and let it help you make you better. Because there is a way to let it help you make you better. And so I'm going to lend to something which I'm very careful when I mention my sister, because my sister has a great platform. She's a phenomenal comedian. She's an even better talk show host. So I'm always careful when I mention her. And so let me say a couple of things. I love my sister. We're not close. So don't call me and ask me for tickets because I can't get you in her show. Okay, we ain't that close. But what I can tell you is a while back, my sister did a whole clip about how when she was on a particular show, and I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to get caught up in all of the mess of what happened years ago, but she was asked to be a part of a particular comedy show that was a variety of different women were going to be on it. And she said that when she got on the call, and this is live, you can go YouTube it and find, where she had this interview where she was going in to talk about being a part of this women's comedy show. And she got on the call early, and the other ladies who were being invited to be a part of the show as well were already on the call, and they were talking about her negatively. Now, I don't know. My sister is a lot more mature than I am. Because let me tell you, I would have came out the bag, especially back in the day before I had me some Jesus trying to kind of help me curtail my temper and my anger and my pain and my hurt. And my sister, the way she handled it was so phenomenal. She said, well, how often do you get an opportunity? And you got to go watch her YouTube on it. But how often do you get an opportunity to hear what people really truly think about you, and you get to listen in? She said, so I went, let me sharpen up my pencil and see what these women got to say about me, right? And I believe, I hadn't watched the clip in years, but I believe she said, it kind of hurt some of the things they were saying, but some of the stuff I was like, that's right, I am this, all right, I'm there, okay, yeah, I don't like the way you said I was like that, I don't like the way you delivered your criticism, but at the end of the day, she said, I got to get an honest view of how other people saw me in the industry. And I applaud my sister for that. Bravo to you. Bravo, because I wouldn't have had that maturity level to take that criticism and use it as something to catapult me into greater excellence in my life. And so I love my sister, even though we're not close. I love her and I applaud her for everything that she has done to become who she is, because she had to walk through a lot of criticism. And unfortunately, I got to witness a lot of people try to destroy and tear her down because of her style of delivery. And so I just want to encourage you guys, instead of internalizing criticism, turn that thing around and let it catapult you into a better version of who you can be. Okay. But the reason why we don't use criticism and let criticism catapult us ahead. Okay. I'm going to lose some followers right here. I ain't going to lie, because I'm about to get into the thick of it. I gave you an example of someone who you guys can go and listen to her YouTube about how she was dealing with this issue of being criticized by other women in the comedy industry. If you don't know who my sister is, Google my last name, comedian, and she'll pop up. I don't want to say her name. And so with that being said, if we're going to get to the place where we don't internalize criticism, we got to get to the place where we heal and we like who we see in the mirror. Oh, Brenda, why do you take everything back to self-worth? Because everything comes from self-worth. You act according to what you believe about yourself. You're never going to outrun the Bible where he says, as a man thinketh, so he is. So if you think you'll never find a job, you won't. You think you'll never find a husband, you won't. You think there's no good women out there, they're all trying to get your money and scam you and sleep around with other guys on you, then that's what you're going to get. As a man thinketh, so he is. So you need to think differently about yourself. So when it comes to not internalizing criticism, we have to get to the place where we don't internalize criticism, but instead we analyze criticism. That's part of eat the meat, spit out the bones. Someone criticizes you about something, then stop and say, is that true? Don't ask, I don't like the way they say. How many times women go to men? I just don't like the way you said what you said to me. I know men get tired of hearing that ish, because I get tired of hearing clients say it. Right? I just don't like the way how he said it. But was he right? Was he right in what he said? Are you sloppy? Okay, let's flip this over on, because I always protect the women, so I want to give the men some room. But when your wife come to you or your girl come to you and say, look, you ain't stepping up and helping out with these kids. You ain't stepping up and helping out around the house. Okay, you could be like, the man could be like, I don't like the way you said it. But is it true? Are you helping around the house? Don't use the how you said it as an scapegoat for what you're doing or not doing. That's called taking criticism and instead of internalizing it, analyzing it. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Are you doing something that is true based on what that person said? And then do you want to change it or not? So I used my sister as an example earlier. I'll use me as an example. I remember during the George Floyd, all the chaos around George Floyd. I told my son, I said, maybe I need to be a politician. Maybe I need to be an activist. Maybe I need to get involved with how Black people are treated by not all officers, because I have had a lot of encounters with officers, unfortunately, and all of them have always treated me very well, but I'm also not a Black man. I'm also not a threat. Okay. So I thought I was going to go be an activist and get into politics. And my son, whom I love, he is my mini me. He is me in thought, process, and everything. And he looked at me, he said, Ma, you don't deal with criticism real well. So I don't suggest that you go into politics, because they get criticized a lot. And I looked at him. I remember I was cooking, or we were doing meal prep. And I said, you know, you what? You probably right. I probably I probably don't need to go into politics or be an activist because Brenda can go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat. I mean, we can go from, oh, hey, everything's great to let's, let me rip off this wig and take my earrings off and get some Vaseline and we can get witty, right? Now, I'm not quite like that anymore, but she's still in me. And so, with that being said, I realized that I really needed to take a look at how I handle criticism. So I did a deep dive into scripture and a variety of things. And this is the one thing that I learned. Criticism only hits the heart when you are validated by the opinions of others. Criticism only hits the heart when you are validated by the opinions of others. So, if we don't want to internalize criticism, we have to get to the place where we are no longer people pleasing, we are no longer seeking outside validation, and we have a healthy confidence about who we are created to be in this earth. That's your key to not internalizing criticism because it's going to come. And sometimes it needs to come. Sometimes we need to hear some hard truths. I remember one day, and my son's going to get mad when he listens to this live. And so I'll be arguing with him when I get home. And I remember one day my son told me, he said, Mom, you are ruthless. You are reckless with your mouth. And I looked and we got into a big old fight about it. He's like, you're reckless with your mouth. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he starts giving me examples of times where I've asked him to do things and how I asked him and my approach and things of that nature. And so I had to stop back and reflect. Am I reckless with my mouth? And some of you guys who know me well are sitting there laughing like you have to reflect to figure that one out, Brenda. But I'm very careful with my son because he is my son. And I love him and we have a close relationship. But when he said that, I had to stop and take a look. Am I reckless with my mouth? So now when I go to ask him to do things or when I'm going to talk about something complicated with him, I make sure that my tone and my entire demeanor has to be set right because he's extra sensitive when it comes to my reckless mouth. And he was right. I am reckless with my mouth. If I ask you 1, 2, 3 times, the first time I'm nice, the second time, I'm going to let you know I'm about to go pop off. And the third time, pop goes the weasel. Pop! I'm going to say it how I feel it. And if you don't like it, you should have did it first or second time. Right? But with my son, I have to be different because he is the closest thing to my heart. Right? Now, I shouldn't really talk to anybody crazy, and none of us should. But we all have been on the phone with AT&T customer service. And at some point, we was like, if we don't get an English-speaking operator or supervisor on the phone, I'm about to pop off. We've all had moments. So you can judge me if you want to. Just remember, when you judge me, point your finger at me, there's 4 fingers pointing back at you. We all have things that trigger us to pop off. Now, when I look at that, I eat the meat, I spit out the bones, I become a better mother. I became a better person. I started to think about when I have difficult conversations, how am I approaching them? Am I approaching them in the heat of my emotions? Or am I approaching a difficult conversation with the calmness of logic, with the facts and not the emotions? That's a whole nother live for a whole nother day. But maybe I'll do a conflict resolution live. We'll see. But the main thing is the only way you can get to the point where you can eat the meat and spit out the bones is when you own who you are, the pluses and the minuses. Brenda has a lot of great pluses. I tell people are like, oh, Brenda, you're so encouraging and you're so helpful. And you say, hey, Brenda means, my name Brenda means sword. It swings both ways. There are the same people who will rave and be in my fan club, think I'm the greatest thing in the world. I'm the most encouraging, positive person they've met. There's a whole nother group of people, not as big, that be like, that woman right there, her tongue is sharp as a knife. She can cut you down to size. She can demoralize you. She can be patronizing and condescending and da 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 da. And guess what? Depending on the time of life that they met me, they were 100% right. I own it. And once you own your stuff, good and bad, then nobody can use it to take you out. I also learned that from my sister, but that's another conversation for another day. So when we look at it, your self-worth, when it is attached to performance and it's attached to being validated by other people, and when it's attached to people pleasing, then anytime anyone criticizes you, you become defensive. Hi, my name is Brenda, and I'm from Defensive Anonymous. I used to get defensive anytime. Ask anybody who worked with me on any job I ever worked with. They would tell you Brenda is quick to get offended, quick to be defensive, can't handle criticism very well. And they will be 100% right. But because I started to look at that criticism and eat the meat and spit out the bones, I started to heal. I started to look at my worth through the lens of the God who died on a cross for me. And I am validated by the blood of Jesus and blood of Jesus alone. And so because I'm validated and my love source comes from that place, which is unconditional love, when I go and deal with other people, if they don't love me back, it's okay. I told a male friend of mine recently, I said, men can never reject me. Now, back in the day, I felt that they could. But now where I'm at, healed and whole, I'm not rejected by men because everything I do is out of love, and love never fails, according to scripture. And if a man decides, hey, you're not my cup of tea, cool, beans, peace, and love. I'm glad I know now and not later. If you don't like curvy women, let's go. I'm straight. Why? Because I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm confident in who God made Brenda Underwood to be. And so therefore, a man who doesn't return a phone call, or a man who takes me on a date and I never hear from him again, which very rarely happens, but when it did happen, or if it was to happen, then it's no big deal. Why? That's just one person eliminating themselves. I don't know how many millions of men there are on this earth, but I'm only looking for one. Okay? So if you eliminate yourself early, you did me a favor. Your rejection wasn't rejection, it was protection. Protecting me from wasting my time, my emotions. And since I don't be sleeping around, that's not an issue for me, but it protects me from being hurt, right? Because I'm not internalizing that rejection as rejection, like I'm not good enough. I'm not internalizing it at all. I'm analyzing it as I'm not a good fit for you, which probably means you're not a good fit for me. And so when we begin to look at criticism differently, we don't have to get defensive. If you get defensive, or you've heard a lot of people say you get defensive easily, then go back and just reflect and say, do I get defensive? What's my fear here? Why do I act that way? Why am I so concerned about that person's opinion of me? So I'm going to give you guys a few examples of me being criticized on wearing red lipstick. I didn't design not to wear red lipstick today. It's just that I worked out today at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I've been running boobs to the wall all the way until 10:04, right? And I just grabbed something to put on my lips because my lips are dry, and it happened to be this color. But usually I'm wearing a bright red lipstick. Let me tell you, Christian folks have called me Jezebel, a whore, fast. I mean, Christians have called me everything but a child of God for wearing red lipstick. But you know what? When I was younger, it used to keep me out of the church. Number one reason why I wouldn't go to church was because Christians were too judgmental. If you didn't dress right, walk right, talk right, do right, if you played cards, you're going to hell. If you danced, you was going to hell. I didn't want nothing to do with them Christians because all they did was judge me. And so my red lipstick and their judgment and criticism kept me out of a relationship with Jesus. But when life started to life on me, I had no choice but to run to the only one who I felt could save me from the pit of hell that I was in at that time in 1998. And when I developed a relationship with him, I was like, oh, you don't want to send me hell for everything I do. You love me unconditionally. And guess what? There ain't no place in the Bible where it says don't wear red lipstick. Not a one. So detach your worth from the people who are criticizing you and attach your worth to a rock that never fails. When you do that, you are okay with the fact that one, nobody owes you anything. So anything anybody gives you is love. And if someone gives you criticism, analyze it, eat the meat, spit out the bones, and keep it moving. And if there's someone who's critical all the time, then just distance yourself from them, because critical people hate themselves. That's why they can't love you. And so I had a friend of mine a while back, way. I mean, this is probably 25 years ago. And she wasn't really a friend. It was a lady in the church. And let me tell you, she stayed offended with me. Everything I did. Well, Brenda, when you didn't return my phone call, you offended me. And Brenda, you didn't call me back fast enough. That offended her. And one time I was rushing to teach a class at School of Discipleship at Free Chapel. And I'm running through the hallways trying to get to class on time because I ran late because I worked on Mondays back then, the first year I was teaching, and she got mad because I didn't say hi to her when I was running down the hallway. I wanted to say, Heifer, you didn't see me running down the hallway. You didn't think I needed to be somewhere. But all you worried about is she didn't stop and say hello to me. There's 300 people in these hallways, honey. And I had to learn real quick, her being offended didn't have ish to do with me. It had everything to do with how she felt about herself. And so when you guys are walking through this earth, beloved, and you're dealing with difficult personalities like I used to be, and some may say I still am, but I'm a healed version now. Like I used to be, understand that harshness, that criticism, and that pain comes from a place within them. It has nothing to do with you, beloved. And so I hope this will help you just take glean some things for you to go back and think about. So that when criticism hits your front door, let me tell you, when people criticize me now, I analyze it. Sometimes I laugh at it. My ex-male friend from last year, he wouldn't even get in the car and ride with me. He hated the way I drive. Oh my God, he hated the way I drive. He would criticize me and I would laugh. He like, Brenda, you drive like a bat out of hell. I'm like, yeah, I know. I got places to be, and I ain't trying to spend my time in traffic. He hated it. Did I change it? Nope. I ain't been in no accident. He been in 3. Probably because you driving too doggone slow and somebody like me hit you in the butt. At the end of the day, I ain't been in no accidents that was really my fault except for one. And we ain't gonna talk about that. You have to go listen to another lie to hear about that story. But at the end of the day, beloved, what I'm trying to explain to you is that sometimes you can laugh at the criticism because it's true. It's true. And it's okay. Because you are a human being that has pluses and minuses, strengths and weaknesses. And all of that makes you the beautiful person that you are today. And yeah, do we all have areas we need to grow and evolve? I'm not saying stay stuck in mediocrity. I'm not saying stay stuck in mess. I'm not saying stay stuck in a stinking attitude. What I am saying though, beloved, is let criticism catapult you into growth. That's what I am saying. What I am saying is detach your self-worth from your performance and from the opinions of other people. And I promise you, if you do just that piece, your satisfaction in life will enhance greatly. And so this is Brenda Underwood, the Breakthrough Strategist. I am dedicated. I left a very lucrative career so that I can help women win and a few good men. And I want to help women overcome issues that keep them from soaring, those issues of not using your voice, feeling like you don't have a seat at the table, feeling like you're not enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not thick enough, you're not whatever skinny enough, whatever that not enough is. I'm here to be your support. I want to support women to be the greatness of who God created them to be in this earth realm. In whatever way that I can support you and help you, I am an advocate to help you be the best version of you, which I like to call a winner. If you ever need help in any area of business or life, because I am dual certified, I can speak to your life issues and I can speak to your business issues. And oftentimes, in order for business to go well, you got to deal with the life stuff. And so I just really want to encourage you guys that there is help out there, there is support. Now, I'm going to be 100% with you. The only thing I'm giving away free is a discovery call. You can schedule a free 45-minute discovery call. If we're really jamming together, it may go a full 60 minutes, but you will walk away from that discovery call with a clear plan for you to become the future you want to be. What are the steps to help you press through until you get a breakthrough? Because this is not Band-Aid coaching. I coach people so that they can get a breakthrough for life and not a Band-Aid for now. And so we're going to go deep. If I had a real title, I mean, life coach is a real title and business coach is a real title. I'm not knocking those. But really what I do, I'm a soul surgeon. I'm going to get into the crevices of your heart. I'm going to deal with what's keeping you from speaking up, what's keeping you from stepping up, what's keeping you in procrastination, what's keeping that business idea embedded in your heart and not playing out in the world. I'm going to help you overcome those barriers. And then the business coaching helps you move from a paycheck to a profit check. So if you want to quit your job, if you want to attach your purpose and your passion to your paycheck, I'm your girl. And I'm not like the average coach. You got 30 minutes, and if you go 15 minutes over 30, then guess what? That's 2 sessions. I'm not that coach. I'm in it for the result. Until we get whatever it takes for us to get the result, I'm in it with you to get it. But the beautiful thing is, people work with me for 10 weeks or 16 weeks on average, and they get their results. 95% of all my clients reach their coaching result. And so I would love to help more women and a few good men reach their results for a winning life, a winning career, and winning relationships. And so I hope that this live has been helpful to you. And I am going to go and enjoy my Saturday night because this is actually my Friday. I'm off for the next 2 days. I am closed Sunday and Monday. I do take prospect calls on Monday, but on Sunday, I'm at church, I'm hanging out with my son, I'm having a good time, I'm doing quality time, and I'm having work-life balance. So I hope that you'll take a day to do the same and just chill, enjoy the relationships around you, because this one thing, beloved, the only thing we have are the memories we make with those that we love. So make great memories. Peace and love. Coach BU signing off. Bye-bye.